Hello, my love. You're listening to the very first episode of Making Sense, a thing by Lingua Planta. My name is Merle, I'm a natural perfumer, and I'll guide you through the curious world of the sense of nature and the nature of scent. So, in this thing, I will tell about my findings researching ecology and science through a lens of poetry and perfume. We'll go on this journey of interest and curiosity to make sense of the deep mysteries of nature. So make yourself comfortable, get a nice cup of tea, wear your favorite perfume, and we'll dive right in. So I guess what I want to find out is the reason why human beings love the scent of earth so much. What is the reason? We often think that scent is something decorative. When I was younger and smelling roses, I thought it was just the smell of the rose, just happening to be. But when you look in nature, scent is never without meaning. So 6-7 years ago, I started Lingua Planta during my graduation project at Design Academy Eindhoven, or actually already before that. I was trying to find the bridge between human beings and plants. And so many beautiful books were coming out on the subject of plant intelligence, but all of it was written and quite difficult if you're not much of the written word. I am of the written word. I love researching, love to read books and articles. So I figured it would be my role as a designer to sensorialize the things that I could learn about intelligence of plants. So as a student designer, I figured I can work with any material, or I can learn to work with any material. So I decided to dive into scent. And it was once during green lights. Green light is the moment before graduation, like a couple of months before, where you present your ideas in a not perfect, not finished state. And if people would trust in this project, they would give you green light. And the last time I got green light was for Lingua Planta, which is now a natural perfume business. And it makes me think of this project, how it's not quite perfect, but as my friend Maya says, we have to make it exist first and then we can perfect it later. So I wanted to ask you, if you believe in my project, I'm gonna talk about it more later, please subscribe, give me 5 stars, place a comment. I've decided also to give a prize before every new episode is coming out to the person who gave most tags or comments. And it can be like anywhere, right? Like Instagram, TikTok, your mother. Just let it be known that we exist. Share with your friends, your neighbor, your cats. Tell it to your plants that we are here. And I'm excited to be here and to do this with you. And I hope that it will be an enjoyable, pleasurable kind of journey that we're stepping on together. I think it will be. If along the way you feel like certain angles could be more in depth, or you have certain curiosities more about perfume or about scents or about seasons and seasons in life, then just let me know. I've been wanting to do something like this for quite a while now. I love my business. It's going so well. I've been working really hard to make it at a certain place where some parts of it I get help and some parts of it I don't have to do all by myself. So this frees up some space to reconnect with the initial research. A design academy would often just get one word to get us started. During my graduation project, it was living matter, and this led to Lingua Planta. Hello, it's me, Merle, from my favorite forest tree trunk office space. So I was listening back to the episode and I realized that I talked a lot about Lingua Planta, but actually not about what Lingua Planta really is. So Lingua Planta is a line of 6 natural perfumes to be worn on the skin that are inspired by the intelligence of plants, and they speak about plant communication via olfactory molecules. So that means they are about what scent means in the world of plants. Attract is a very rosy fragrance that is inspired by the way roses attract bees and butterflies with their honeyed notes, but also other flowers like mimosa, there's linden blossom. It's all very lovely. Then there is the Vent, which is more of a forest walky scent that talks about how trees defend themselves after a storm, for example. It has a very grassy opening. It's about like crushed leaves, about tree resin seeping on a hot summer's day. It's lovely. It's mossy, it's earthy, it's great. Then we have Repel, which talks about how certain plants know how to make repelling essential oils, like citrus fruits, for example, but also lavender. It's not very loved by many insects, but it's very loved by humans. Then we have Understory, which is about I'm being tickled by an ant on my leg. I know they live here too. But Understory, it is about the underground connection between trees and mycelium. Henosis is about our earliest uses of perfume materials, perfumum, which means via smoke. So it's very incensey, very ritualistic, very lovely. Then we have a line that is quite new called Field Notes, and we have a new perfume that is called Oak, which is inspired by the oak trees and how they make us feel so lovely and so health. Yeah, so that's that. Let's get back to the episode. Where this one word could bring us. And for this episode, I want the word to be mud or earth. So let's dive into mud, I guess. Let's go. It's Mud Month when I started this project, which refers to February, known in Old English as Sol Monav or Muddy Month. And traditionally, that was the time of year when you wouldn't travel because probably the ice would be gone, but there would be a lot of mud, which makes it uneasy to travel from one place to another. And also during that time of February, quite beginning of the year, I feel a lot of motivation, a lot of seeds of inspiration within me, but not quite the energy that would propel an idea like this forward. And now it's spring, and I feel I'm ready to emerge. I spend a lot of time reading, researching, especially on the theme of mud and earth scents, because today we're going to talk about not only mud, but also petrichor, about the scent of dry earth, about the scent of wet earth, about forest floor scent accords. I'm going to share with you my secret forest floor scent accord at the end of this episode. I've also been on this trip to Madeira in January, and I've been walking outside with my best friend for days, and sometimes it was raining, but it didn't really matter because it was so lush and green and mossy and earthy, and I got so ecstatic by the scent of mud. It made me so joyful, and it made me think also how many times when I ask people about their favorite scent, something that I like to do, they give as an answer the scent of soil or petrichor or the scent of earth after rain. It is a scent that speaks to us so much, this wet soil aroma. And Roman naturalist Pliny called this the smell of fertile soil, the mixed breath of sun and earth. For nearly 2000 years, we had many different names for what our noses knew, but language couldn't quite capture. Argillaceous odor, used by some 19th century scientists from the Latin argilla or clay, odeur de terre, or simply the smell of earth after rain. It wasn't until much more recently that this phenomenon received its scientific name, petrichor. Petros meaning stone, ichor meaning the fluid that flows in the vein of the gods. Oh. In 1964, biochemists Isabelle Joy Baer and Richard Grenfell Thomas drew from Greek mythology to coin the term in the scientific journal Nature. Through experiments steam distilling rocks exposed to dry conditions, Baer discovered that the smell came from a yellowish oil. They named it petrichor, the blood of the stone. And I think it's quite romantic and poetic, this interpretation of the stone juice, but it's not really stone juice. It's a combination of many different compounds, but at the heart of petrichor lies geosmin, from the ancient Greek words geo, meaning earth, and osme, meaning smell. Far from being lifeless dirt, it is estimated that in a single gram of soil there could be as many as 50,000 species of microscopic organisms, or microorganisms. And in 1 teaspoon of soil, there are more microorganisms than that there are people on Earth. And it is one microorganism particularly that is the main reason that we instantly recognize it as the aroma of wet earth. And that is Geosmin. Geosmin is a single organic compound produced by the soil-dwelling bacteria called Actinomycetes. When raindrops hit dry earth, they release geosmin into the air. And I have a bottle of this material in my studio. And I've worked with it a couple of times on more artistic projects, but I'm very hesitant to use it in perfumes. And that is because the context really decides how we experience this scent. For example, it is unwanted in wine. When you find it in fruit, in apples, for example, I had one yesterday that tasted like geosmin. You really want to spit it out. It's usually mold that is inside. So although I used it in a few very nicely executed, like foresty, musty, mycelium-like experiments of scent that actually were also presented at London Design Week, I think, London Design Week, and an exhibition in France and some other places. I can look it up maybe later. But I've also experimented with geosmin for my natural perfume called Understory, but I decided it was a very bad idea. And why I think it is a very bad idea is because of this anecdote that I want to share with you. You see, when I just freshly graduated from Design Academy, I joined a summer school. I think it was called Mad Summer School in Latvia, and it was so nice. I really loved it. And one of my favorite things was the class that we had from Sissel Tolas. She's this amazing scent designer from Norway. And she had these paper strips, blotters, with scent on it. And we would be blindfolded, smelling the different blotters, the different scents that she prepared for us. And when I had a blotter with the scent of geosmin, I instantly recognized it, and it was like, yeah, this is it. I remember this. But it was so strong, so potent. But I was so excited to be able to finally smell this scent in real life, so pure and so present, that I, of course, wanted to bring it home. And I put the blotter into the back pocket of my moleskin notebook. Then I traveled back by plane. I opened my notebook to read my notes, but then I was instantly hit with the scent of geosmin, very strong. And I realized probably this is a very bad idea. And then I also heard voices behind me, like 3 rows of chairs behind me, about a very disturbing scent in the air that was like musty and moldy and bad. So people were also like locking the air vents. So it was a little bit of a disaster. And I still have this notebook, and it still smells of geosmin, and it's been like 6 years later. So this scent, it's so potent, it's so strong, it never dies, it never goes away. 1 drop of this, well, this is a 1% dilution, but I have the pure stuff as well. 1 drop in an Olympic swimming pool, and you'll be able to smell it. It's that powerful. So it's scary, kind of scary. I still like it though. So yeah, one of the things that I wanted to do with this exploration is to find out why we like the scent of earth so much. I have an idea. On a molecular level, scent literally enters our bodies and touches our nerves. And for us to perceive a scent, volatile molecules must vaporize, lift up, waft deep into the nose, and settle on olfactory receptors. And when we inhale and smell something, tiny particles of that scent become part of us for a moment. So smelling a scent of earth is taking in parts of earth. And the scent of geosmin is so ancient, it reaches back to the very beginning of our life on earth. In A Natural History of the Senses, Diane Ackerman reminds us that when we evolved from our more fish-like selves to live on land, We relied on our noses to seek out food and fertile soil. And Geosmin has many fascinating connections with many different kinds of sorts of beings. So when we step out of our human perspective, there is also the very old relationship between Streptomyces bacteria and springtails, and Geosmin acting as a kind of sensory signal, actually not so different from how plants and insects are working with scent. And when I think about the role of geosmin in the life of plants, but also elephants, of people looking for water in the desert, of human beings, of bacteria, and their interconnection with this whole ecosystem on Earth and being, I start to wonder if it is only about the relationship between the Streptomyces and the springtail, or if there is something much deeper and less of a cause and effect. It's less of this one-on-one being kind of intersensory regulator, and more about something that weaves all of us, all beings, together on this web of Earth. Rain falls, geosmin rises, and the underground world stirs. When we smell it, we're joining in that signal. We're listening to that ancient conversation between bacteria, soil, insects, and water that we're a part of as well. Maybe geosmin just doesn't have one function and there is no cause and effect. Maybe it just is my tiny human brain trying to make things logical and clear. So the scent of geosmin imbues us with memories that precede us as individual beings. It is not merely aesthetic. It reminds us of our very first steps on land, of fertile soil and clay, of our earliest horticultural endeavors as human beings, but also childhood memories of playing in the mud. It holds the promise of water, and we humans burn through a lot of water just to exist. Somewhere deep down, it tells us of the possibility of good harvest and forage, of survival and health. In other words, it is a molecular recognition of relief and hope ingrained with us in our animal-human bodies. And to think about how scent works, if inhaling geosmin means that we're inhaling literal pieces of earth, how wonderful of a reconnection is that? And how wonderful it is to have the earth be a part of you, to have it as your favorite smell. It means that in a digital world, you're still happy to be reconnected with the earth itself, which I think is beautiful. For the scent part of this essay, when we look at culture, human beings have long tried to distill the scent of earth, but the country that has been most successful in doing so is India. In a place called Kanauj, they have been distilling, co-distilling, I must say, baked clay shards of clay that has been wet from rain after a monsoon. And this material is called Miti Attar, and I'm totally addicted to it. Miti means earth and Attar means perfume. And the process is quite amazing. So by this co-distillation, they not only extract the earthy molecules from the baked clay, but also to make it more strong, more lasting with the sandalwood. Also smoothens things out. And this is one of my most precious materials, I think, because 5 milliliters cost around 100 euros. And I really like to just dab a little bit behind my ear, or like the soft part between my thumb and pointing finger, so I can just get back to it again and again and again. But there are more earthy scents that are used more often in perfumery, and also by me. I have to browse through my studio to find the materials. Yes, I found patchouli. Dark patchouli is my favorite. It's a different way of distilling, I think, in a copper still instead of RVS. It has more character, which I like. I have to find out later if that's true. I think it's true. So we have Oris butter, which is beautiful and insanely priced. I'm also addicted to Oris. This one is aged for 6 years, and I've used it in a lot of my perfumes, like Understory. Sacred Sun, Night Flowers. It's a little bit stupid to use a material that has been aged for 6 years because I'm like crossing my fingers that it will never run out. I'm scared now. Then we have oak moss, which is beautiful. It's IFRA restricted, which means there are guidelines about how much oak moss we can use. Oak moss can increase the sensitivity that we have for sun, and we don't want to cause any sunburns, obviously. Vetiver, of course. Ooh, Nagarmota is also a beautiful earthy scent, but I don't use it that often, so I'm not going to talk about it. But if you are curious about Nagarmota or Cypriol, beautiful dry earthy scent, actually really nice. Yeah, but I don't work with it really. It's too powerful for me. It is. Okay, I found the vetiver as well. Okay, so these materials together, so the orris, the dark patchouli, oak moss, but also the vetiver, they're really beautiful together. The vetiver has like this more of a dry earth scent. It's distilled from the roots from a type of grass. It reminds me of like this, like the earth in Indonesia that is dry but also very fragrant, very beautiful. It's not really wet earthy per se, but it works really well with, for example, patchouli, which is for me very musty, very wet soil, very mossy as well. And there is actually a tiny bit of naturally occurring geosmin in patchouli, which makes it smell so real for me. But you have patchouli lovers or haters, and I'm a lover. What can I say? I'm a lover girl. Then we have oak moss, which is more mossy, more dry, like a little bit mineralic, like a little bit like algae kind of. But also, yeah, there's like a sweet bitterness to it. Bittersweet. Beautiful. This is from Finland. I love it. And then we have always, we already talked about it. It's like beautifully powdery, very elegant, very luxurious, very smooth, kind of earthy scent. I also like, what's it called? The carrot roots absolute. Very lovely as well, but a little bit carroty, a little bit too carroty for me to work with now. So when you use these materials in certain combinations, it's quite easy to make a good wet earth scent quite fast. You might want to add something like a tonka bean to smoothen things out, or of course you need top notes and hard notes as well. These are all pretty much base notes, which I think makes sense when you talk about earthy scents, that they are base notes, which means they are more heavy, more like staying on the skin, more dark in color, more like grainy usually as well. And when you make a perfume, you have to have a good combination of top notes, hard notes, base notes. But I actually didn't want to talk about that at the moment. I wanted to talk more about earthy scents and how to evoke the sense of earth in fragrances, or at least how I do it. I am a lover of earthy notes in perfume. It has been said that a white floral, for example, always needs a little bit of dirt to make it come alive. And I believe that's the same for other florals as well. Actually, some people say a white floral like a jasmine always needs a little bit of poop, which refers to a very peculiar and interesting molecule called indole. But it's not on theme for us today in this episode, but I can talk about it maybe next time. I'm thinking of talking about flowers. Florals for spring, groundbreaking, right?
Florals for spring, groundbreaking.
Well, I think this is mostly it. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I just came to the realization that as a perfumer, I probably also love earthy scents because of our reconnection with earth that I'm trying to make happen through my perfume. It's about inhaling pieces of nature, about reconnecting with nature, about feeling present in the presence of the body of earth. Yeah, I think that's quite beautiful. This is the end. Go forth and grow. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know if you did. And I see you next time. Have a lovely day. Bye.